Everything I bought in here. So bad, I always turn the candy on that open every day. And I put it in minutes, so I need to. Well, here you go. Oh, you got one. Me, sure.
He's ready to report.
She's just quiet. Oh, we laughed over her? No, okay. Okay, we're good to go. Welcome to, we're on Wednesday. Public Works, Susan.
Good afternoon, Susan Eugenius, County Engineer. So we have several items. I'm sorry, Savannah got caught and she's running a little behind, so she actually has the agenda. I'm doing this a little bit out of order. So we're going to do easements and Savannah actually has those. So we have easements and property purchase for the Riderwood Emergency water project. So we're purchasing some property from R.H. Emerson, Sierra Pacific, to site the reservoir, and then some easements for the piping work. So we have been negotiating with them. We finally come to terms and they are signed, and we are requesting that the chairman sign those documents. So we're getting closer to getting that one up and running, and so that hopefully by next August, it'll be in place so that we can be in good shape next summer for Riderwood. That project, if you remember, is partially ARPA funded and partially congressionally delegated funds through the USDA rural
We
program.
got $1 million or so from,
Yes. And we are working on getting that final agreement with them secured to bring before you, which kind of will roll us into the federal permits issue. So as you all know, the federal government has shut down. So we may see, depending on the duration, if it's a week, it really won't impact us. But if we get into another 30, 60 days shutdown, there is potential public works project impacts for permitting and some of our funding. So we're looking at Riderwood Water, the Shadow Mountain Rider projects for our funding sources. Our WSDOT projects, those are passed through federal, so the STP money, WSDOT has control of that money, but there are processes that have to be approved by federal highways. That includes obligations of funds and then NEPA processes. The other impact it has on us is permits from the U.S. Army Corps. So that's when we're impacting wetlands. And then for everybody's favorite project that's been delayed way too long, the Dyke Road project, we're still waiting on our U.S. Army Corps 408 permit. So if we start seeing those impacts, we'll let you guys know, but I just a heads up, that is how it actually physically, the federal government shutdown impacts public works. Any question about either one of those items? Nope. All right, and then I'll go into the last public works item. We are also requesting a declaration of an emergency for storm sewer repair on Sweet Birch Drive. We were so last Thursday, Beacon Hill Water and Sewer District televised one of our storm drains, which we found was crushed. So we are working on getting a contractor to repair this on an emergency basis since we're rolling into the winter. It waives the contracting requirements so that we can it waives the procurement requirements so we can just go out, get a contractor so we can get it done before damage is done. If this was June, we wouldn't be declaring an emergency because we'd have time.
yeah. And Doug explained to me how the state looks at an emergency, and I can't remember the explanation, but it has to be,
Imminent danger.
yeah, something
Some-
of deal. We just can't say, well, we want to get this done, so we declare an emergency.
I have the RCW.
Yeah.
It means unforeseen circumstances beyond the control of the county that either presents a real imminent threat to the proper performance of essential functions or will likely result in material loss or damage to property, bodily injury, or loss of life if not immediate action is not taken. So that's the RCW that allows us to waive the procurements.
Okay.
So that resolution we'll have for you guys Tuesday to formally sign.
Okay.
So I guess I will hand it over to Savannah for the facilities items.
Good afternoon, Savannah Clement, Public Services. I just have my normal weekly milling update. We actually started inside construction on the second floor, which is our very populated area with a lot of our departments and the courts. And so that actually started this morning. They're taking down the ceiling tiles in the clerk's office. I know there were a little bit of concerns about making sure that the areas are kept in, I want to keep saying containment, and not contaminated. Anyway, so we're working on that. And actually, Danielle with the Superior Court had a really good suggestion at my other meeting with her today to do morning huddles to make sure that everybody on that floor is just aware. I mean, I do the 3-week look aheads, but I think from a day-to-day perspective, that doesn't really like give all of the information that they're looking for. So I think that's the plan. They're going to have some daily huddles with one individual from each of those divisions on that second floor so that they know what to anticipate that day. I know they're really busy for the next 6 weeks or so over there with some big cases going on. So I want to try to alleviate as much as I can from the construction pressures that they're having. And so if we can meet every morning and go over everything ahead of time, I think that will help us avoid any speed bumps in communication and project stuff. So, but big phase of our first 3 moves is complete. And Kelly and I are working on the second phase, which is really large departments, the sheriff's office, which is one of the largest with several divisions, and then the PA's office, also one of the largest, if not the largest. I do have an update on that front, and I can't remember if I have so many meetings and say the same thing over and over again. And so if I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry. But the PA's office sounds like they'll be moving over to the annex building, which is what I was really hoping for because it offers, in working with OPD, using that space for attorneys and confidential meetings, it's a really great space, especially compared to what they were going to be going into, which was the old 911 area. So I'm happy with that. They're working on layouts, and so we'll have more information on that to come. So yeah, so with that, that's my milling update, just moving along. But this week, I think a little bit bumpier because it is inside in occupied space, right? So I think we'll have some more communication from people and try to get ahead of things.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you very much. I think you're doing a hell of a job. And unless you're wearing a wig, I figured you'd be pulling your hair out by now.
This is not a wig. No, thank you. I appreciate that. I always tell people, let's see what happens at the end, then we'll talk and see if I have any hair. I might need to borrow a hat. I don't know. But thanks.
One of the things that I'm curious to know is, and I kind of got some feedback on this, but one of the things that I was concerned about is if certain parts of this project get ahead of schedule and the hoteling part isn't ready to move, how are you adjusting to that?
Well, so right now we actually are a little bit ahead of schedule, and I hate to even say that out loud, especially in a public setting, but right now there's buffer weeks built in. So we already have a week of buffer of overlap that kind of before the next group has to move in. So as long as we're maintaining that week of buffer, really 2 weeks, if we're ahead a week, we'll be okay. There's only, I think, one date range that I'm a little bit worried about, and that's January. I don't want to say June. That's not happening. January. And it's January 5th and January 10th, pretty sure, are our really back-to-back close, like, construction phases. And that's the one that I'm a little bit concerned about. But we don't have a ton of overlap as far as like one area needs to get out, quickly while the other one moves in. So can you think, I'm sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but can you think of one aside from that January time? And they're different locations, so.
No, that's the only time that I can
Mhm.
remember that they're overlapping.
Okay, that it's close, like a tighter fit. So I guess to answer your question, we don't have a plan if we bump into overlaps, except for it hasn't come up that I think we're going to.
Keep up the good work.
Well, thank you.
You're doing great. Thank you.
Team effort all the way. Okay. The next one I have is the facade update. And so we do not have that official report back. However, we do have a proposed plan from our team with AEDA and their envelope specialists and masons to start looking at the interior corner, so the southeast corner of the building, which is elections. And so we may have to pause and we're going to work with Carolyn, obviously, to see if we can get that done prior to her busy season, which is November-ish and beforehand, or wait, if that's her preference, until after that. So that could push some of our results and planning back a little bit or not, depending on their schedule. So we have to be really cautious about working in that area, obviously, during election time. So what they plan to do is actually remove all of the either drywall or plaster, lath and plaster, to establish how the building is looking and to see if it's reinforced on the back side behind all of our, interior stuff. They're also going to be looking at the bottom of the building to see how the flooring connects to the wall structure. So it'll be pretty invasive as far as interior work goes, and it will be loud. So that's kind of what we're up against right now. I hope to have the next update to you guys having that like official report. So we'll have a little bit of understanding from the outside. But not a lot on that front either. So still keep on keeping on, but no big updates. And that's all I have unless we had any miscellaneous. Sean has a miscellaneous.
Let me toss out one thing. I'm curious. I pointed it out to Arn Mortensen, I don't know, a couple of years ago, coming back and forth across the street. So let's see where we at on the south side of the building. When it's raining outside, and you can see it now, there's been enough rain already that water is running out between the steps, between the street and the building, that it actually starts growing algae, turning the sidewalk green. The steps between the street and the sidewalk. So if you go down there when it's raining pretty good, we're actually flowing a lot of water right out of the hill across those steps into the street.
Okay.
And so my concern is since we're sitting stuck in the side of the elevation here, is that if there's anything being undermined.
So I would say potentially, especially with what I've learned in my short time in maintenance at the county. But we have another project that was in the works this year that got pushed because a lot of other items came up. But we're going to address the courtyard drainage outside of Annex. And so I'm wondering if that could be something that we look at. We're already, working on this one, and we also include that front, or I guess south-facing area and drainage. That could be potentially something that, it could be undermined. So I don't ever go that way, honestly. So I don't, especially if it's raining. So I never see that. So I'll have to take a look at it. With Annex, not to go on a tangent, if you've noticed the moat around the east side of that building, Literally, it's a moat. And so it's to try to funnel water. And so we have some drainage systems in there. And we've recently, I don't know if you've seen any of the workers over there, but we were tearing out the roots, scoping, we're looking at lining that to try to keep water out of that area that we are all aware of has issues. So there's some pretty cool new things out there that I think we could look into as a potential solution if it is compromised in any way. So, sorry. Anyway, go ahead, Sean, unless there's any other items.
I'm good. Thank you.
Yep.
So about a little over a year and a half ago, we walked around Tenant Way landfill with the PUD to look at some options for solar on the southern side of the slopes there. At that time, it wasn't great. We don't have a lot of dirt for the anchor system to go into. It's only, a foot to 2 foot available before you get to the cover system. They're applying for a grant, they being the PUD, that would look at support systems on shallow ground for solar installations on landfills. And they're just looking for a letter of support from the county for that. No commitment of any sort, just exploring the opportunities to attach that kind of infrastructure onto a closed or active landfill. And just looking to see if the board is okay with that.
So you said there's how much cover there on the landfill?
So it ranges between 1 to 2 feet of dirt before we get into the synthetic liners. We put a,
I guess I'd be okay with looking at it, but I'm uncomfortable with.
it's so what they're applying for is just a study to see how it can be done better. And if, no commitment to the county to say, yes, we're doing this, but just sharing access and information at this point.
Okay, I'm good with it.
What are they hoping to find with the study? What's the,
A better way. So normally when you're putting solar infrastructure in, you have to drill down quite a few feet and concrete that in the ground. A better way that we could do it into shallow subsoils on steep slopes. So that in the future, if we did want to go down that path or look at any other infrastructure we have that has a good opportunity for unused or unavailable space, that we could use something there and maybe receive royalty or anything of that nature in the future.
Is that cover that's on there, is that waterproof or is it porous?
The dirt is porous. The actual cover
Yeah. the cover,
is a
the
waterproof.
cover.
Yeah.
Have you seen non-porous dirt? Okay. No, but okay, say it again. It is, the cover is,
The cover system is waterproof and airproof.
so if it's sealed, could you cover that whole dome with concrete instead of dirt?
Oh, I've never thought about that perspective. I'm unsure on that. I don't have a good answer for you.
Okay. Yeah, let them, I would say let them do their study for my 2 cents.
All right, we'll get something together then. Would you like that to come from Public Works or from the board?
You sure this doesn't tie us to anything? I remember sitting in this audience and Arn was up here and he felt pretty railroad, and I don't even remember what it was, that he felt like he okayed some kind of, it was supposed to be a preliminary work, and then it kind of tied him in. And I
No,
can't remember all the details, but we're 1000% sure that it doesn't commit us to anything.
Yes, I had a pretty good discussion with the PUD staff on that to make sure that there is no commitment. It's just sharing of information and access at this point. And if they did want to move forward on it, we'd come back to the board and have a discussion on what that looks like.
I'm not a big fan of solar. I think it's,
So,
big solar farms are kind of goofy. And
yeah, I agree. I don't know.
if you're 1000% sure it doesn't tie us to anything, then I'd be okay with it.
Okay. And we'll
I
have that
just-
conversation one more time before we issue that then.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't remember the exact details of Arn's. I just remember him being pretty well upset that he felt like he was railroaded.
Was it with the PUD or with a different organization?
I think it had something to do with Kelso in somewhere or the other.
Did the results of a study bound us to something?
He felt like, whatever it was he signed was just supposed to be preliminary, so things could move forward and get more information. But it ended up, it was pretty well bound him and he wasn't happy with it.
Well, I can imagine.
But with this, there's no actions that are planned to being taken other than the study.
That's my current understanding. I'll double check that, triple check that with them.
So since it's just a study, how about if the study does not name Calais County? And they're just studying shallow anchor points for
Sure.
sundials and solar systems, I don't care, but it doesn't need to name Calais County if it's just a study.
We'll have that conversation, make sure it's for anchoring into shallow, steep slopes.
Okay?
One thing to consider, this is just a letter of support. You guys are not signing any agreements at all on this. This would just say you support it, the money going to the PUD for it. Just something to consider.
Can somebody explain to me? Ostensibly, I can see how a letter of support helps, but do they make a difference?
So depending on the grant agency, they really do take that into account. I've heard so we apply for Brian Abbott Fish Barrier Removal Board's grants quite frequently, and having letters of support from the Lower Columbia Fish Recovery Board and from the Cowlitz Indian Tribe, if we have those over a comparable project that does not have them, they do take those into account, and you get kind of like a bonus check or a smiley face, a gold star. I know when you're doing congressionally delegated funding, they require letters of support from community organizations and members of the community. So they do make a difference to a lot of the grant agencies, do take that into account. Does the community support this, or is this just, the county thinks that, oh, that culvert looks good, or that culvert we should get rid of. So they do take them into account. I have been told that, and I've seen some of the grant matrices where there's like 10 bonus points, where there's all different things that can go towards those extra points, and letters of support is generally one of them.
Thank you.
And then Savannah has another miscellaneous item.
Sorry. My item is actually, it jogged my memory. I had just talked to Dave Hodges, our CFN rep. And the reason I had reached out to him was potential funding opportunities for our facade repair, seeking some grant funds. There's a House bill that was out. I sent it to him, asked him if he had any knowledge, forgetting that he's our federal lobbyist, not our state. But he's just like all over that stuff. So he was nice enough to respond and let me know that, hey, this isn't really my realm, but here's what I know. But he did offer up, if the county was ever interested. He had asked me, and I didn't feel like I could speak, for the county or the board, if there was an interest in having state lobby services, with either CFM, I would guess, or another lobbyist firm. And I thought I would bring it to the board, and just no decision making, but just have you considered that? I know we've been talking a lot in budget about WASAC membership and, lobbying on some other fronts. So I just thought I'd bring it to you guys to mull over if that's something you would like me to pursue, as far as, I don't know what the pricing would look like or anything, but I can bring something back. So that was my only other item. I think that's all we had. Okay.
We'll consider it.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
We'll have pretty easy access to our reps here in the state and stuff. And I know some of the cities use them. I don't know what they pay for them.
I don't know. I could find out. Yeah, and just let you guys know, if it's not a huge push, just next time I talk with him, maybe I'll ask him about it, but.
Theoretically, that's what Wasac's supposed to do for us.
Right, right. And it had come up, I know, in some of the budget conversations about membership and what they're lobbying for and, or not. And so I thought, well, I guess if that does end, we would have other options. So, yep, no decisions need to be made or anything. I
If
can
we
get.
asked Wasac to chase grants for us, they'd probably do it too.
Probably. Okay, that's all.
I have mixed feelings about lobbyists. I don't know.
All right, anything
Okay.
for us? We're good. Nothing more.
I think we're good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
What do you got, Shelley? Are you just sitting in? You got something for us? Okay,
So request Shelley Pierce, Risk and Safety Manager, requesting an executive session to speak about a litigation, an update from Monday. About 10 minutes.
okay. Executive session, potential litigation, 10 minutes. We can do that.
The board is extending the executive session for a period of 2 minutes until 2:11 p.m.
Okay, back from executive session, no decisions rendered. Looks like we have one other item. Okay,
Actually, no, it's the same item, just Susan talked too fast and forgot to get the
Oh.
official resolution approved. So that is a copy of the resolution declaring the emergency. So if we could get, if you are partial to it, if you could move to approve it, we can get it signed and move forward with the repair.
okay. I entertain a motion to approve it.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve the resolution for the declaration of emergency in the matter of damages in the storm drain line serving Sweet Birch Drive. Don't see any public here. I'm pretty sure I don't have any hands. No. Okay, call for a vote. Those in favor? Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
That-
Sorry about forgetting.
Okay. And let's see. We have Kathy coming in at 2:30. Okay. Why don't we take a quick recess before Kathy gets here? Will be good, okay?
Yeah.